Good evening, everybody. We are waiting our guest just to connect. She sent us a message asking us for a minute. The guest we are talking about is Kat Sheffler, and she's the Coxswain. She has a YouTube channel and it's called Coxswain. And the name of our chat today will be Small and Loud. And now we are waiting for her to explain us what is all that about. Drinking some water in our mug, Remo por Todos, which means rowing for all. And I see people connecting us. Just say good night. Make some comments so we can know who is talking with us. Yeah, and Edino Ribeiro, my best friend. I don't know how we call the Sotavoga. Jean Lima, hi. We are waiting Kat Sheffler. I'm trying to see if she's making contact with us by Instagram. Yeah, she's logging in. Maybe she has she has some difficulties. But I think in a minute she will be with us. Don't go away, please. She has many coxswains to have with us today. I think it will be a great program. Yeah, she's appearing now. Yeah. Are you listening to me, Kat? Yeah? I'm putting you on the screen now, okay? Hello? I can't hear you. Let's see if this all right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
Perfect.
Yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
Yes, I had some internet problems, but I got it.
Yeah, that's it's the same everywhere.
Right?
It only changes the language you speak. You have internet problems in English, we have internet problems in Portuguese. No problem, no problem. Oh, I see some friends from Brazil here, and I expect everybody is listening us. And people, please, thumbs up if your sound is good, image is all right. All right? Yeah? And don't forget, Kat, small and loud, but slowly.
Slowly.
Most people here from Brazil, we understand English, but don't think that you are coxing a Nate. All right?
Yes. Absolutely.
All right. Well, Kat, I would like to say thank you to be with us here.
Thanks for having me.
And talking something about rowing and coxing. And coxing is something that I think it's very important and very difficult. Something very difficult.
Yes.
Yeah, let's see our schedule. How is it going? And the first question, it's obviously about the beginning. When did you first hear about rowing?
I don't remember the first time. I know that the first time I really learned about it was in college, but I already knew what it was to an extent. I knew it existed, but I didn't know a lot about it. So I don't know where I learned a little bit about it, but it was when I was in college at UCSD, so University of California, San Diego. And I was actually in my second year of school, and basically kind of learned about it on the fly. Within a week, I saw a flyer and wanted to join a sport, and then I got recruited just walking around school. Someone said, you're small, come to the meeting. And I did, because I was excited to join something new. So, and then I went to the meeting, and boom, it was all just really fast from there.
Yeah, and that's great. Someone said,
you're short.
Like that?
Pretty much. They were on a bike, and I was walking to class, and they came up next to me on the bike. And he was a freshman on the men's novice team, and a first year, and they were recruiting, trying to get new walk-ons is what we call if you just join the team in college.
Yes.
And so they were recruiting new rowers and coxswains. So he said, "Hey, have you heard of crew before?" And I had just read a flyer about rowing, come join rowing. And then in the very bottom corner, it had a little thing. It was like, rowing is so great, rowing. And then down here it goes, coxswains are small and loud. Are you small and loud? Like, I'm small and loud. So I actually wasn't even that loud. That's the funny thing. I was pretty shy. I was not I can project, but I was pretty quiet always. Yeah. So I was small. So he said, have you heard of rowing? And I said, yes. He said, have you heard of coxing? And I was like, yes, I have now, as of yesterday. And went to the meeting, and that's how I ended up on the men's team, because I went to the meeting for the men. That's what time he told me to go, which is why I didn't do rowing. I did coxing. Otherwise, I would have actually tried rowing.
Oh. And this guy that pointed to you, do you keep talking with him? Do you know his name? Do you remember him?
I do know his name. It was Ferris. I don't keep in contact. It wasn't, he just said, hey, you, come. And then, next thing I know, I'm on a team with 80 other guys. And
80?
I think so. It was crazy. There's a lot of guys. And there's maybe 40. I don't know. It's a while ago. Oh. And then the next year, I actually joined the women's team. So I was only on the men's team for 1 year. And then I rowed with women for the next 3 years. And I'm still in touch with a lot of those rowers.
Yes. As you answer me about the questions I have made, we have made, yeah. Some answers are already on.
I know.
Yeah, but this is a basic line, and sometimes you may answer something that I am very curious. And just like the guy that pointed to you wasn't on the script, but maybe someday we can talk to this guy, and we don't know. That's the future say to us. Well, about coxing, and someone taught you, and they said what you had to do, or just sit in a boat, pull the strings, and
oh man, it's hard to learn. Basically, I showed up the first week of tryouts. I didn't have to try out. There was only about 5 coxswains, and they wanted all of us. And they kind of taught us how to yell at them, but you don't know anything. I don't know anything about the sport. You've got basically the varsity coxswains who are just a year or two older than you saying, okay, say this. In two. And you yell at them on the rowing machine. And they say, no, louder. And you don't even understand what you're saying. And then you start getting in boats. And like I said, I was one of 5. And I have to tell you, I was not very good. I was not even the best of the 5 new people. I was maybe 3rd or 4th or 5th. There was 2 people who were better, and they got in boats a lot more often than I did. And then you just learn while you're in the boat and you listen. The coach tells the rowers, this is what this is what rowing is. And then you try to remember that, even though you can't see them, so it doesn't make any sense. And then you start yelling things that you don't know what it means. You're like, sit up.
Sit up.
Yeah, the coach said that. Arms straight. You just yell it. But pretty soon I got better. I worked my way up, and I ended this season in the top novice boat. So of our novice boats, I ended up being the F1, the top freshman boat. And then I joined the women's team.
That is great.
Yeah, kept learning on my own, basically. You learn from just trying it out.
And there's a good question here. A friend of mine, we used to row together on the 80s, back on the 80s. Mm-hmm. The coxless 4. Oh. And he lived at San Diego at the end of the 80s. And he didn't row there. And he said to me he regrets that. I should have rown there. Yeah. And he's asking how many rowing clubs are there in San Diego?
It depends on if you are talking collegiate, colleges, or masters. They're pretty much, if you're talking about just club teams, not the colleges, there's, I think, 2. Pretty much 2. ZLAC, Z-L-A-C, ZLAC, and San Diego Rowing Club, which is where I currently work.
Oh, yes.
And then there are a handful of colleges, UCSD, San Diego State, USD. Let's see. Those are the big ones. I don't know if any other colleges have a rowing team. And then there's, for high school, I only know of one high school that has its own team. They're Cathedral. They have their own high school team, but otherwise high schoolers will row at ZLAC or San Diego Rowing Club.
Oh, there are pretty much clubs there. Mm. And this is something very different for us, because here we only have clubs. We don't have college clubs or high school clubs. We can even think about that.
Wow.
Yeah, we can think, but it's very unusual for us. Like a school, we are going to have a rowing team. I haven't heard anything about like that here at Brazil.
Wow.
I don't know. If maybe someone knows, but I haven't.
Right.
Well, let's. Well, we started about coxing, and you told that you are learning you practicing and learning by yourself.
Yes.
And don't you think that is a great mistake? Just put the cox in the boat and say, go.
Unfortunately, it's difficult because most coaches were rowers. So that is what they know how to do. And then they coach the rowers. And coxswains don't get a lot of personal attention. So that's why I started my YouTube channel, Cox Talks by Kat Sheffler, because there is a limited amount of resources for coxswains. There are books. Who wants to read a whole book about coxing? I never did. There's some blogs, but I didn't find anything that was a video that answered your questions and was this kind of format of, let me explain to you what I know. I've been doing this 9 years now. So I wanted to answer those questions. And obviously I also have race videos, but there are a handful of race videos. That's really the only other way to learn. You learn in the boat and then you watch race videos. So you go and you watch other coxswains races and you say, ooh, that was a good call. But then what about practice? How do you learn how to be good at practice? So you kind of are either good at it or you're not. And then if you're good at it, you get better by practice.
Yeah. There's a friend of us. He's from Brazil, and he started as a cox. My brother used to be a cox, and then he studied physical education, and then became a coach. And this guy that I'm talking about, we call him Digão, and his real name is Rodrigo, which is kind of difficult to say. And he now lives at the United States. He became a very good coach.
Oh, wow.
I think he's about 45 years old. And he's asking what's your website? And I just answered, put a comment here, Cox Talks. And after you can answer something and put your YouTube channel to him. And I have watched many videos, and I can say to you, it's a very good work. That's why I came after you, because it was the first time I've seen a cox talks and very appropriated things. And I remember my brother, he started as a cox. He was 12, 13 years old, and we just put him in the boat and said, oh, you have to, he was at the bow, lying at the bow, not sitting at the back, at the rear, is that?
Stern.
Yeah. Stern, at the stern. And they said, oh, you have to focus, get a point and keep the boat at that position. Don't let the boat go. Keep it straight. And but he was very sensitive, and he could feel how the boat was going.
Yeah.
But this is something difficult to teach. This is something very hard. How can you you are looking forward, and everyone are rowing on your back, and you can see them. And how can you feel if the oars are getting in and getting out together? And how can you feel that someone is pushing at the same time as the others? This is something
These are
very
the kinds of
difficult.
questions that I answer. I get that question a lot.
Yeah, but I think you could get all your videos and make a script like the most questions, the most issues that people have, and maybe you could write a book.
Maybe.
It's kind of difficult to write about coxing, but coaches write about technique, the art of rowing. Maybe you could
the art of coxing.
Yeah, a program. I think about I suppose last month, December, we went out on an aid, a master rowers, and a very young guy, a very young boy, was the cox. He already rows. He's getting better, and he said on the boat, "Oh, the bow, you are not. You are wrong." He only negative things. And I said to him after, when we got off the boat, I said,
after. It's the thing. Not in the boat.
No.
After.
Yeah. Side by side, not in front of, side by side. Oh, come here. And I asked him, what do you like to hear when you are rowing at the boat? What do you like, what are the words that the coach says to you that you like to listen? And he said, oh, there are many words. So these are the words you have to say to us. We are master, we are old, we don't have hair anymore and a white hair, but we are human. When we are rowing, we get tired, we get weak. You have to motivate us. You have to lift our spirit up.
Right.
We have to grow, because if you only say negative things, we will be negative. If you say positive, if you go positive, we will go as well. And he said, oh, this is a very good point. And the next time he went on the boat, he started pushing us. Oh, yeah, you can do it. Yeah, let's go all together with me. Now he started pulling the responsibility to him, not to us. It's not you rowers, but us, the boat. This is something that I see you on your racing videos that you do very, very good.
Thank you.
Ladies, wow, we are almost getting a championship. Oh, 10 few strokes.
It's such a balance, because if you are too negative, then it is very disheartening for a rower. But if you are too positive, then sometimes you're not honest. And you can't only say, good job, we've got this, when there's something wrong. So it's such a balance of trying to first earn the rower's trust, always be honest, but be positive with your honesty, right? So, and that can be hard, especially rowers, like you said, you're people too. And sometimes they're going to be stubborn or have a bad day. And you really have to try to find that line. It's your half coach, half teammate. And you have to try to balance all of these things. Coxing is always about balancing, how much you're being motivational versus how much you're giving technique or looking around and going straight. So many things in your head.
This is a very, how can I say, it's a very thin line you are walking motivational, technique, positive, negative. If you go too much positive, people
they tune you out.
Yeah, and if you are too much negative, you push them down as well.
Right.
Well, let's see some more new words, new questions. We have talked very many things.
No, we do say starboard and port. That was one of your questions. We don't say bow side and stroke side. We don't say that. We say port and starboard.
Yes. You don't say the bow and stern.
We do. So port, starboard, bow, stern. That's about it. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, yeah, because I have a joke with a young guy, another guy. Now he's helping our coach, and he used to cox at the 8 on the stern, sitting on the 8. And the other time he went on with 4, coxed 4 with us at the bow. And I said, "Oh, you have to go to port side." And he went to starboard. I said, "Port side." And he kept going to starboard. And I said to him, "Port side, this side." And he said, "Your port side or my port side?" That was very fun. Today I talked to him and he said, "Oh, your port side or my port side?" Because he messed, because it wasn't the
was stern. He normally a rower?
Yeah.
Right. So was a rower. Backwards, which is why we say port and starboard, not left or right. That's why.
Yeah. Well, there's someone that is saying, "Hello, Regina is my mother."
Oh, hi.
She usually is with us here, and I say hello to my mother. It's about a year I haven't give her a hug because of this pandemic we are living, and we hope that the vaccine works, and so I can go and see my mother.
Yeah.
There are some guys talking, chatting in Portuguese. Besides, they are people that used to work together. And there's a very good rower here, which is William Giareton. And they call him Thin Guy, Magrão in Portuguese. And he met Rodrigo, which is the coach that is living at the United States. Well, let's get back to our questions here. About the words you have just said. This is a curiosity. I think many coxswain don't do, but is it normal to make some physical activity, the coxswain, running or swimming, rowing?
I would say it's up to the coxswain. You don't have to. Some choose to because it helps you earn the respect of the rowers. I actually never did. But I knew coxswains that would do the weightlifting. But then it's difficult because during the rowing machines, ergs, you're doing your job. You have to walk around and yell at them. So you can't work out with them also. I have, now that I'm in the masters rowing, I will go, with my friends and sometimes erg with them, unless they ask me to watch them and cox them. So I have a little bit. I know how to do it. But in college, I rarely, it wasn't part of my usual routine.
Yes. All right. About master rowers, is it common people start rowing with old age at the United States, or ex-rowers have come back to rowing?
I would say at our club, it's both. So you see rowers who were in college 20 years ago, and you see rowers who just started in their 30s or 40s. So I see both. And I see a question about Mission Bay. That is where both the ZLAC Rowing Club and San Diego Rowing Club are located, along with the colleges, USD, UCSD, and San Diego State. We all row on Mission Bay, which is where the Crew Classic takes place.
San Diego has very good rowers.
Good rowers?
Yeah, at the national team.
I don't know. I actually don't know. I've known several rowers who have tried out for the national team, and we've had coaches who are former Olympians. Susan Francia, Brian Volpenheim, that coached at the San Diego Rowing Club. So,
yeah. Well, let's go with some other questions. This is the point. When did you realize that coxing would be your sport?
You know, I think between my first and second year doing it, actually probably the second year, I actually wanted to quit the first year. I think everybody wants to quit, but honestly, I hated it. I hated the guys on my team, and I didn't want to do it anymore. And I'm not a quitter, so I made it through the year. I finished the year, and then I said, okay, I'm going to be done now. I did it for the year, and I'm not coming back. And then you go away for summer because it's collegiate rowing. You stop for summer. Next year, I'm like, I'm not going back. I kind of miss it though. And you start to get that itch. You want to go back. And I went to talk to the coach. I would have been on varsity now instead of the novice team. And coincidentally, my former coach, who was the novice coach on the men's team, had just been promoted to the head women's coach. So they told me, hey, if you switched to the women's team with Colin, that was my coach, I'm sure they would be really happy to have you. And that was a perfect opportunity. So I came in, I already had worked with this coach for a whole year. I knew how he operated. And for the women who were on that team, they used to have a different coach. They were so excited to have this coach and this coxswain from the men's team because our men's team was really good. So they were like, wow, we're going to be so good. And the energy was so different. And I got a lot better. Like I said, my novice year, I didn't really know what I was doing. And I came in with a lot of confidence, which was, I think, mostly because these rowers assumed I was really good, even though they didn't know anything about me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be really good then. And I just was. And I was able to take on this attitude. Everything kind of shifted for me. I was much more that coxswain personality, in charge, you know, this is what we're doing. Hey, you know, and then we went to nationals that year, and we got third, which was amazing. So that's when I knew I was hooked.
Yeah. Yes. When we realize we are already in, there's
when you can't leave.
Yeah, it's difficult to say when was the day, the second, or the minute, or the second.
I think rowing is, if you're doing it right, it's a love-hate relationship. You love it, but you hate it. And if you don't hate it, sometimes you're not doing it right. And then when you say, that's it, I've had enough, I'm never going to do this again, it's so hard. And then you stop and you go, okay, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go back. And that's when you know that you are hooked. You love it, even though you hate it. You love to hate it. You hate to love it. But that's when you're a true rower, is when you can't give it up, even when it sucks.
Yeah. I think last month I talked to a Canadian coach, a very young Canadian coach, Alex Murchak. Oh, no. I forgot her last name, Alex. And I forgot to ask something to her. We are from living coxswain and getting in coaching, but we are getting back to coxswain again. But I remember when you are coaching, the rowers have to finish the training exhausted or tired.
Depends on the workout.
Depends on the workout, yeah. If it's like a test, you have to leave it exhausted.
You shouldn't be able to stand up if you did it right. But it's also hard because I coach high schoolers, and teaching them that they can get to that point is so hard. They don't know that they can do that. So you're trying to teach them, here's where you think your limit is. Here's where you should think your limit is. Here's where your limit actually is. You can do so much more than you think you can. You have to push. So it's finding, it's trying to teach them. College is different. I think in college it was very, very competitive, very focused. And everyone was always pretty wiped out at the end, especially on the erg test. You know, I saw people passing out, throwing up all the time, anxiety attacks, or, you know, in the water. The things that always really got to me, that made me really love my rowers and love the sport, is when I would see one of my rowers pushing themselves so hard that it was breaking them. And that was always so emotional for me to see. Sometimes on the erg, and you can hear them gasping, crying. And I've had a rower that couldn't get out of the boat after a race. She actually had an injury, but she wasn't, you know, it was an issue with her knees or her back. Now I'm trying to remember, but 2 other rowers had to carry her out of the boat because she could not use her legs. And just those moments are just so emotional for me, to realize how much these women care and are going to put themselves through physically that pain. And that's why I had to try and I had to give it my all, because you are willing to hurt that much and push yourself that far. I have to push myself. I have to push you. So that's what really gave me a love of the sport.
Yeah, I didn't see this, but I think Maha Drysdale, once he finished. I don't know if it was a world champion, or I think it was a world champion. People had to take him off the boat, and he couldn't stand up. I don't think he got his medal. Yeah, this is pretty tough. Well, let's get back to some little bit more questions about coxswain. You said you had a competition, but we didn't ask about your first competition, coxswain.
Well, again, I was on the men's novice team, so it would have been just about 2 months into practicing. We would have done one of the fall head racing style regattas, probably Fall Classic, which is in Mission Bay, was probably the first one. Or there was another one called Wires to Poles, and it might have just been a scrimmage, a less official race. And that might have been my first. And Row for the Cure was another one that was early on, all in Mission Bay. But I remember this might have been my first race, if not the second. I went out. By then, I had moved up into the top novice boat. So it was a boat full of recruits. So they had done rowing in high school. I obviously had not, which means that they were a lot better than me in what they knew I should do. But this race was a really, really long race. I want to say it was 12K, 12 kilometers. I always question myself because that is so long. How could it be that long? So maybe it wasn't. My memory at the time was that it was so long. But it was, there's no way it could have been 12K. I don't know why I felt like it was, but it was this really long race in Mission Bay with this hairpin turn around a little island that you have to squeeze around and make this tight turn and come back. Just this huge course. And on the way back, we're kind of, you're supposed to go around like 2 different islands and then head back this way. And I was so new, I couldn't see one of the islands. It's really low. And so I went around the one island, and then I didn't go around the second one. So I cut off 500 meters of the race. But they told me it was good, a good thing that I was in front, because every single boat after me just followed me. So everybody cut 500 meters off their course, and otherwise they would have said we cheated, but we were first, so everybody did it. So it was the same for everybody, which was pretty funny. I think the other rowers, coxswains, maybe weren't from San Diego, so they just assumed I knew what I was doing, and I didn't. So I think that was my first time.
This is a good story. This is the kind of story we are looking at for.
Yeah.
And what were your big fears when you went on this first race?
I just remember being nervous because you don't know how you're going to do. You don't know what it's going to be like, if you're going to mess up, if you're going to talk enough or too much, or what to say. I think that was probably the hardest thing, is what am I going to say for, maybe it was, I keep thinking maybe it was only 6K, but what am I going to say for 6,000 meters? I think it's just, you're just nervous. I don't think I was super afraid of hitting anything because I knew the bay. I was nervous about that turn, that one, whoop, because you're going around a little island, very narrow, and you had to drop out 2 of your rowers on one side. So you have 4 on this side and 2 on this side so that you can turn. And I had never done that. I didn't know how to do that. So I hoped I would get it right and not hit anything or break anything, but it was good. I didn't break anything. Yeah, it was okay. Still probably didn't say the right things, but first race, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Magrão William is saying that Maha passed out Olympic Games 2008.
Wow.
Yeah, and 6K, it's different strategy, especially from the cox, because 6K it's like 20 minutes, about like something like that, 20 minutes. Yeah, maybe
a couple more, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's very hard. When you are training, like an hour, you say, yeah, all right, now push it, yeah, go, and you talk slowly. But on a competition, you get very excited and you are anxiety and you have to speak, but you have to have control.
Right.
Did you make some strategy, or you just went and?
I didn't know enough. I didn't know anything about strategy. It wouldn't have hardly mattered, I don't think, because I didn't know enough vocabulary to even say. So I think I just probably had some power 10s and, sit up, arms straight, and just probably said them through the whole race over and over again. I don't remember, which is good. It's a good thing I don't remember. Now I know. Now I know that you have to have strategy, and I know the strategy between a 5K versus 2K, which is our normal races, are 2,000 meters, which is very different when you're only doing 2,000 meters versus 5,000 meters. But I don't think at the time I had any comprehension of what any of that meant. I didn't know.
Yeah. And all that coxing, was it good to you as a coach now? Because now you work like a coach.
Yes.
Did all that made it good to you? And I forgot to ask something before. To be a coach, you have to study, make a course.
No, sort of. There's most coaches were rowers, or in my case, a coxswain. And it depends on what level you are coaching. For you know, you can become a coach, you know, if you are just coaching maybe some high schoolers or middle schoolers, or you're an assistant voluntary coach. You don't need any certification. And then from there, if you want to move up, you get different levels of certifications. So I think I have 1, and then I think there's 2 and 3, and 3 is really pretty high up there. And then you don't go to school for it necessarily. Most people, I would say, didn't, but they usually rode in college or at the Olympic level or the national level, and then became coaches after the fact.
Oh, so there's it's a long road, a long race. You have to. Yeah, all right. Kat, we are talking almost about 50 minutes, and we talked very much about coxing. And I think there are some questions I wanted to make you already answer. I think I'm missing something, but no problem. I
can answer this last question. Are we rowing normally with the pandemic? And we are not. Right now, I would say most clubs in the US probably are not able to row at all. I don't know I can't speak to every club. In our case, at the San Diego Rowing Club, we have rules in place where we are able to get outside in singles, so individual boats. That way, you know, they wear their mask. They're not in the same boat. We started with just varsity, so nobody knew. Only varsity was able to come back for the last year. And then about last month, we started doing middle school, and sometimes kids who haven't done it. And that's what I'm currently coaching, because I normally coach novice high schoolers, but we're not doing that team right now. But it's only on weekends in singles, only 20 kids. It's very different. And then the colleges are able to get out in 8s. I've seen them in 4s and 8s, and I don't know what the parameters are for that. I don't know if they all have to be testing or what, but they definitely had to do something in order to get out in an 8. I've only seen them recently, so they just were able to start getting into 4s and 8s in the last month, maybe. But that's here. Other places, I don't know.
Yeah, it's something very difficult, because at the club I row here, there are mother and daughter. They row together. There are couples,
right?
Husband and wife. They row together. But we are trying to row more singles.
Yes.
But some people don't like to row single. They are not very good. And
yeah, that's what all of our kids have been doing, just singles. So all these middle schoolers and high schoolers are getting a lot of sculling experience.
But I think it's very good. When I was young, I rowed single for once, and other times always the pair and coxless 4.
Right.
And now when I'm old, I got back on a single skull, and I said, yes, it's very good, because we couldn't row, and we had to stay like 2 months. We stayed at home, only with the ergs at home. It was psychologically difficult.
It's nice to be on the water.
Yeah, it's very good. Well, Kat, I think we had a very good Cox Talks today. You are very kind. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
I think people liked very much. And now I give you the word to say your final terms.
Well, thank you for having me. Thank you everyone for watching and commenting. This is pretty cool. Whenever I do live videos, I don't get a single comment. So this is pretty different. If you want to watch any of the races that I did in college, or have any coxswains that have questions, please feel free to comment on those videos, or find my Instagram. It's all Cox Talks by Kat Sheffler. Yeah, I'm just excited. This makes me want to make another video. I haven't made one in months, I think. So I'm like, maybe I'll make another one right now.
Yeah, it would be good for us if you make a video saying, what was your experience talking to people from other countries.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have already that kind of experience. Did you? No? Yes?
I don't think so. Not about rowing.
Oh, yeah. All right, Kat. Thank you very much. I hope you be safe. Say hello to everyone to San Diego.
Awesome. Thank you. Hope to see you guys in San Diego one day. Yeah,
I have many places to row, because I'm talking to many people. I hope I have money to travel all around. All right.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.